Hello and welcome back to IT Security Labs, and today we have another fun machine from Vulnhub. This machine is called IA KEYRING, and it's supposed to be a intermediate machine. So as people who are learning ethical hacking, and if you're very interested in learning how to learn ethical hacking, these machines from Vulnhub are really great. All you have to do is download this machine and import it in VirtualBox. And then once it's in VirtualBox, just like what I have here, you can run these machines and you can attack them if they are on the same network as the Kali Linux machine. So that's what we did. I have my Kali Linux machine here, which I'm starting right now. And then once it starts up, we'll get started with an attack. In this case, what we will be seeing is the traffic that we will be going to this machine will be intercepted, and it will show in Security Onion here. Right now, if I just wanted to show you what it looks like before the attack, we have just a little bit of the Nmep scans that I just ran, and these are alerts within Security Onion, which is an intrusion detection system that will help us detect any of these malicious traffic. So Security Onion is ready. Right now we have 25 events. As we do the attack, we should see this number of these events changing. We should also be able to visualize them here in Kibana. Right now, as you can see, here's just a threshold, less than 500 in the last. We run to ping things before I attack them, because I'll probably have been waiting for the results for scans before then. All right, so if you're brand new here, this is what I usually do. I start with an Nmep scan, -SV, -SC, 192.168.38.174. This will go for the top 1000 ports. So while this is going in the background, let's also do another one for all ports. Let's do this with root privileges here. That way we can, by adding this, we'll go for all TCP ports. This will help us make sure that we are not missing anything. And with Nmep, we are looking for service version using default scripts on the IP address, and P-P will scan all the ports on the victim that are TCP. If you wanted to scan UDP, you need to do SU instead. Right away, we notice that our victim machine has 2 ports, which in a way is good and bad. In this case, we like it because that means that given this version of SSH, all my enumeration is going to be on this IP address, port 80 here, unless if I get something else from the all ports, which I didn't find anything. Before I do a UDP port, let me just start interrogating port 80 right away. So to go for port 80, I'll open a browser, but I'll also run Nikto. Nikto will help us identify some things, but let's hold on Nikto. Last time we learned that Nikto does create a lot of noise for us. I don't want to be looking through Nikto traffic today. So I'm going to hold off on running Nikto. Instead, I'll go for GoBuster or Derb. So let's go to my enumeration term. Nikto is always good. I always run Nikto, but because I'm trying to detect this traffic, I am not going to run Nikto. Nikto just messes with my alerting. So if you want to throw security analysts on some loop, use Nikto. Let's go to 192.168.38.174. I'm just going to leave it on big.txt, but let me look for specific extensions here to make it faster. HTML, PHP, sometimes I put tar, or even GZ. But HTML, PHP for now. Alright, so what is not working here? Oh, I'm using big.txt. Let me go back and use medium.txt. Forget big.txt. Where's my medium.txt? let's just go and use medium to text instead of big to text. That will help us a lot. Okay, here are all the direct list here. I don't know why it's saying you can't see it. Discovery. Okay. Autocomplete tab completion, it doesn't want to work here. All right, so I'll use medium to text so that it's not too slow. Then dash extension, HTML, PHP for now. Really. Give me the full path. All right, I'm just going to go for this. In there. All right, I don't know why it was searching for that. So my notes are kind of useless in that regard. I need to fix them. But yeah, thanks Momo for getting there. William, it's good to see you, brother. Now that I was fixing my directory, I forgot to specify extensions. That's fine. Specifying extensions just makes it faster, I've seen. But for now, I'm just going to be using medium to text and using GoBuster. And then let's go and visit this website here so we can get going here. 192.168.38.174. First, let's just go and look at it and see what's going on with the site and is there anything interesting. Right away, we are met with a login page. We don't know what we're signing into. We don't know the application. We know nothing about this. So very interesting. So you can start doing by admin. What is the behavior? Since we're just meeting, I just want to see what's your deal here. Nothing. Okay, you'd probably say invalid user. Well, actually, admin. Password. What is it going to say to me? Don't say. Maybe it's failing. Let's look at the page source. Oh, there we go. This website is not talking at all. So we need to interrogate it further. All right. This is why this machine is not like super easy. It's actually a medium machine because of this. We have a sign up page here. Let's sign up for admin because I like to use the word admin and password. Sign up. Okay, user already registered. You do not want your websites to be doing this. So now as an attacker, I know there's a user called admin on this thing. So as a note for yourself, don't tell attackers that the user exists. Just give them a generic error that says incorrect username and password instead of, hey, user already registered. So now let me put my user test, password test, sign up that user. All right, I was able to sign up my user test. Let's log into there and see what happens. I just signed in as test, so test. Web application attacking is actually fun. People think it's harder, but I find web apps to be easier to interrogate than other systems. So now that I'm in here, I'm just looking for any hints. Give me something. What are we running? What tool are we running? Is this a custom application? any information. I'm desperate for any information right now. And GoBuster seems to be running and hasn't found anything. What's up with that? This thing is not talking today. Let's find out. Since we're already in here, all right. GoBuster is taking too long. I'll run it again. Let's just try derb. Derb, we will use command.txt. We don't need this one. So this is a common word list. So let's run derb against that thing and see what we can find. So far we're in. We know that this was created by InfoSec articles, and we are already in. We signed in as the user that we created. We have this control here, which is interesting. HTTP parameter population, or HTTP short, is a vulnerability that occurs due to passing of multiple parameters having same name. So this is a hint for us here. This thing has a control that accepts parameters. So by just reading this, you should be able to think about possibility of command injection here for parameter injection. Let's wait for derb here to finish. Oh, that's interesting. So derb finished with just index.php. Okay. Back to GoBuster. Now let's specify extension PHP, since we know this is the PHP side. This will speed up things. As you can see, now I'm getting more results here. So just understanding your tools will really help you narrow down things and be fast. Emmanuel, it's good to see you, brother. So now we have control.php, which you already know. Logout, which is signing out. History.php is interesting. So the extension PHP made things faster because it's only looking for PHP extensions. So instead of control, let's go to history. And we get nothing. The other one said parameter injection was allowed in the control.php. So history is giving me nothing. So let's go to control.php. Get this one for now. I'll show you how to get that one. So history.php is giving me nothing. So I signed out. I want to see if maybe it's because I'm signed in as some generic user. So let's go back and change this to be okay. So now we're signing in history.php as a non-registered user. I want to see if I get something. Was according to our results here, history.php exists, and we also have the other ones. So it says can't find users activity. This is because I'm signed out. But when I'm signed in as the test user, I see nothing, which is very interesting. So let's go back and sign in. I was stuck here for a long time thinking I'm not going to be able to get in, but you'll notice something very interesting here with this history. Once I sign in, let's refresh again. We should get a blank. and it's blank. So somehow this history.php is tied to a specific user. In that case, I tried command injection. Since if you go to the control.php, you will notice that it did say something like right here. There is a vulnerability that involves HTTP parameter pollution or parameter injection. So after seeing the behavior of the history.php, I did this. Let's remove this for now. And I say user equals to admin. Actually, user equals to test first, the user that I'm signed in as, and all of a sudden I can see the user here. This I got there after reading this right here, just testing the parameter. It says something about parameter injection. Since history was giving me nothing, I tried, well, and the error was saying there is nothing found for this user. I put an injection here, user is equals to test. You can also mess with this using the fuzz tool. You can also use burp to find out that the user parameter here is injectable. Once we find that the user parameter is injectable, the next order of business is then to say, okay, I know admin exists, so can I just put admin here? And it actually says, yeah, you can. So it was just a matter of like understanding this right here about parameter pollution that they mentioned here, and seeing a blank history, then seeing that it errors out when you sign out from the user. Then I was like, okay, great. So now that it says that we need to, this is the page that was visited by the admin. Every time I see GitHub, I get excited because GitHub is a really, really great place to see people's projects and their source code and everything that you might need out there. So I was like, great, let's go to GitHub then. This is what the admin visited. And here it says KEYRING, which is the name of the machine with an HTML. This is beginning to look like what we have. About, control, home, index, login, logout. If you go back to our results from GoBuster, they're the same. This will show you that this creator used the same source code that we have out there to create our website, which is what we always wanted to know. What kind of website is this? Is it some CMS solution? Is it some generic WordPress? What is it? Now we know it's a custom PHP site. So now we're interested in the control. We don't see history here, but we have the control.php. The about is just an about page. Control is interesting. Here you're going to spend some time reading through how this thing starts sessions. And here's the message that we're seeing that gave us a hint that we do have that. It's running SQL commands in the background. And in fact, we have a function that they defined here. This one actually runs in the control. So this function, I think, this function here, the get command, runs on the control.php. So if we go back on the control.php page, that's where that function runs. Let's stop GoBuster. We are now in the weeds of this PHP code. All right, so we know there's a function that will give us command execution according to this. And it actually says function is not safe, don't forget to remove in production. So we don't think they removed this because it's still showing us this error here. It's under the control page. So that's good to know. Let's go back, and there's a SQL page. On the login.php, how are we handling login? The login page here. So there's a SQL database in the background, so SQL map comes in handy right away. We're thinking, can we run SQL map here? But I'm going to avoid SQL map for now because manual exploitation is better. In this case, we're selecting name from details, where name is that and password is that. So there is a table named details on this system if you understand your database, SQL database. So it's in the details. It's not from like users, like common things. Then there is a name and a password. Since this is SQL, this is where things get really interesting. Since we know that this is running a SQL database in the background, can we then, you can also see here, the local username and password for SQL is also shown. So if we had a MySQL open, we'll be just jumping in there and signing in using root and password here, but we don't have that. We have database users here. But for signing in, we're choosing from details. This actually threw me off a little bit. I was like, wow, what are we doing here? But this is what we have. So since this is a MySQL page, and I've already been interacting with the user, let's go back here, admin here. Can I then do Sql injection and see if I can inject SQL commands here? Because we know this admin is being pulled from a database, SQL database. So you can use burp suite right here to test for SQL injection like what I did last class. Not last class, last video on Friday. Actually, let's do that. Let's actually just fire burp here. Let's do some SQL injection here to see if we can get more interesting data using burp. But if you wanted to do it manually, you can just do the admin dash. Let's go to our SQL. This is my SQL payload. So we have admin and dash. Do I have another admin here? So these are the ones that I used last time on Friday. I think this one is the one that works. I'll show you the manual way. If you test these, I think this one will also work, but this is the one that will work. You can come in here and say admin, then you need to put a dash. Then you can paste one of those, like that. Then you notice that, oh, this one didn't work because I probably have bad syntax here. This is why using burp is easier, because there we go. So what did we just do here? Someone is probably watching and saying, what the hell are you doing? Well, we know that this value admin here is being pulled from a database. The database is MySQL. So since we're passing parameters already, we can start messing with it and communicate directly with the database. If the database is giving us admin, we can do SQL injection on it to give us more things. In this case, I just added an admin dash, then on or, which is coming from my payload list right here. You could have just picked this one or any of these. If you use burp suite and you do a substitution here, it will also give you the same result, but let's actually do that. So first is that we know this thing is vulnerable to SQL injection, meaning we can talk to the database using this URL here, because it's actually doing that right now. Now it's giving me O1. I can now start messing with it and adding more and more things there. Let's go back to burp, and I'll show you how to actually do this so that your life is easier. Oh. And this will show you how to do it. Another way, the third one, which is way easier, is use SQL map. Now that you know that this history admin is equals to is vulnerable, you can just give this as a URL, and then SQL map will do all the work for you, as long as you have a session ID for this session here. I'm trying to avoid SQL map right now, so I will do it manually so you can see that we are actually learning something from these live streams than just pointing tools. Because pointing tools is fun. Knowing what we are doing manually is better. All right, so once you launch burp, you can use the proxy, open browser. This comes loaded with its own browser. I'm getting used to it. I'm used to Foxy proxy, but for now, this should do it. So once you get in here, let's do my interception off. The parameter that we would like to inject is this. So assuming we didn't know about this admin or behavior and we just left it to admin, this is what we will have. This is the URL that we would like Burp Suite to intercept. Interception on. Then we need the Burp browser to have our URL, which should be the full URL from here. I'm just showing you this again, but we did this last time. Let's put our interception off for now, so we can actually cleanly copy. Like how much time does it take to copy a URL, right? All right. So now that we have it in here, all we need to do is turn our interception on, and hopefully we intercept that request and that request only. There we go. So now that we did that, remember our SQL injection should include admin here. So what I would like to do is then let's do a send this to intruder. And once intruder gets the data, start with positions. Let's clear these positions. The position that we want is going to be this one, right here. So let's just add one. I'm going to call this one test. This is just a placeholder here, but I know you don't have to do it this way, but I'm just going to do it that way. So once we do that, let's go to our payloads, and this is where we can go and add the payloads that we updated from Friday, which is all these. You can get this from payloads or things or something like that. I'm just going to copy a subset of them. And we can just paste them. Once I have my payloads here, I can start the attack. It will give me a warning. This will show me which of the SQL injection parameters works and which one doesn't. And in this case, I hope I'm putting it on the right place, because then the length should change. If it doesn't change, you'll probably either it doesn't work or you didn't put your parameters correctly. In this case, it didn't change one of them. But we know, no, the one that worked for me is not yet fired. So let's give it a second. We have 56 of them here, so give it a moment to run. Let me go to round. All right, so this is interesting. The one that we know works is this one. Well, at least this one. But look what changed the parameter. It was this one. So this one is the one that changed it. Either way, we'll still know that, this thing is vulnerable to SQL injection, because this one changed, and we can do an action, request in original session. I'm going to stop Burp Suite. That just shows you how you can brute force for SQL injection manually. You could have done the same process using SQL map. SQL map will do this. You will never even see that. It will just go out there and do it. But in my case, we already know that we have this injection here. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. All right. So now that we have that injection working, you see I already have this union select 1 equals to. I have a resource that you can use to actually learn about manual SQL injection. Where was this one from? Oh, actually I have two, but this one is from hacking articles. The reason why I'm going to great lengths showing you manual SQL injection when you can run SQL map is because at the end of the day, we want to know what we are doing. And this right here is the gold mine for us. Someone asked me to share this in the comments there. So I posted a link to this. This will tell you, hey, if you ever have a web page that you need to test for SQL injection, here's how you do it. And this is what I rely on every time I'm doing that. In this case, you notice that we're doing the test like we're doing with admin and stuff like that. And then you can do a union select one, just like here. Once you get things, you put a 1 just to see if you get back the results. This is like a test, like, hey, union select 1. Let's see if I can do more. So I'm going to go to great length to just do it manually, which is union select 1. But I left the 2 dashes at the end here. And I should get a 1 if I do that. Right here. And this is from the hacking article. We're getting in, we're slowly testing this thing, make sure that it actually works. So we know it keeps responding, it's actually giving us results. Then you can do 2, 3. I tried 2, 3. No, we don't have 2, 3 here. We're not doing that. But you can also interact directly with the database here if you knew the database. In this case, though, we do have source code. We are doing a select from details where we now have a name and a password. So we can use the select command and just reach out to the actual details section. And for that, I edit here. Give me 1 second. All right, and for that, I do a union select. I need to maintain these 2 last at the end. I remove 1, then I open here. This one, if I just remove that, I'll just give you the full command here. So I did a union select. Instead of 1, I did a concat, meaning combine these 2, name and password from details, because we are looking in the details section. If you look in the GitHub page, it did tell us directly, hey, everything lives in the details. And the reason why we're interrogating this one is because this is the user name parameter that we get when we sign in the login. So that's what we are injecting here. And at first, before I did this final command, I just did something like this. I did a concat, then I did a name, password, and I hit enter. And it gave me this. And I didn't like it. And I was like, well, how do I change that? Then I did 2 semicolon. Then I put a semicolon here. Or you can put a comma, it doesn't matter. But you can do it either way. As long as you have the syntax correct. I think it needs to be a colon. And then there need to be a comma. Name, comma, colon, then like that. And you will notice that it will give me the values directly from the database, which is admin and another user, John. If this is too hard for you, just run SQL map directly on this and dump all tables from the users section, and you also get to the same place. But just using union select and the concat, if you know which fields you're looking for, will get you the answers that you need manually. And this is how you avoid SQL map. And if they gave me this in an OSCP exam, I now know this is how I interrogate these URLs here. All right. So now that I have an admin and the user John, first thing that came to mind is, oh, I'm not even wasting time. I'm going to try the SSH as John. Admin, I know that's for the web page, but John, I have port 80 open here. I mean, port 22. 168.38.174. Yes, please. permission denied public key. So it's a brick wall right away. John can only sign in with public keys, no password SSH allowed. But hey, we tried. So next, let's sign in as admin. Here's the admin's password. Let's go back here, log out myself. Let's log in admin. So we've done the hard part so far. What I just spent some time explaining the SQL stuff there. That was where a lot of people spin their wheels around it. And I did spend some time there. Once I put that article that I showed you and I started doing step by step in just testing, I was able to get in. So now that I'm in as admin, I can go to the about, control. Again, the control gives us this that we can run our parameter pollution or HTTP, and then you go back to the control page, source code, and it does say, hey, function is not safe to use. Don't forget to remove it in production. What function? This CMD is like a command control. That's what I read it as. So if we have a function, we'll go and test it. This is where you do this, and then you put the function and say equals to. In this, the first thing is ID, of course. And guess what? We have command injection. We can run commands directly on the server. At this point, I was like, it's game over. I'm going to get access to this box. If I can run commands directly, I will get in there. First, I need to know, do you have Python? No Python. So maybe you have Python 3? Yes. So this thing is Python 3 running. At this point, I just need to generate a reverse shell and then be able to quickly get back here. So to do that, to get my reverse shell, I wanted to show you this nice little tool that I like to use. It's like an online reverse shell generator. Where did I put it? Okay, I have in my notes right here. So if I go to my reverse shells, there is an online reverse shell generator that you can use. It's called revshells.com. My IP address is 192.168.38.189. Is that really my IP? Let's verify that. Nope, it's 96. So if you go to that site, you can generate any reverse shell that you want. I mean, most of them, at least. Port 444, that's fine. It will give you the netcat command to run in here. I would like Python 3. So this is like my shopping cart. Not PowerShell. But if you want a PowerShell, this is where you get it. Python 3, this looks familiar. You can use this one as well. But I like this one because it looks like Python 2 reverse shell. So this is what I need to run on my victim machine. This is what I need to run on my local machine, making your hacking way easier. So let's run this on the local machine. This is our listener already generated for us. Then we need to run our Python code here, which I'll just copy from here. If you wanted to encode it, it will even encode it for you, like base64 encode, URL encode. So this tool is really, really great. Highly encourage it if you haven't used it before. So let's copy that. Go back to our browser. Since we can run Python 3 and we know it, all we need to do is replace this which with the payload that we just generated. We have a listener. Right now it's listening. The moment we execute this, we should get a reverse shell if it works. I like that it hangs like this. It's spinning. That's good news. Then we go back here. We're in. Super simple to get a reverse shell. We're in as www data. which is not the best user, but at least we're in. So since it's Python 3, let's export term. A lot of people like to fix their terminals, make sure that they work properly. I just like to do. This happens all the time. I don't know why this happens. I don't know why this happens to me. I'm getting doubles, and I hate it. I am not a big fan of this. So let me see. Bash. ls. Still doing it. Okay, we'll get out of here fast. So, but just know that this doubles up because of something that happens. Probably why people fix their shells. cd home. Let's check if we have anything in our home here. We have John. So since we found John earlier, let's try John's credentials. So let's switch to John. And then paste that password. And we're in as John. Now we can clear the screen and this thing continues with us. Oh man. Alright, so I'm going to need to fix this. I don't like that it's giving me doubles. So I'm going to have to fix that. Let me start a new listener here. Naked minus LV and P 5555. We'll look for these listeners later. Then let's go here and copy this. Actually, let's just rerun what's in the browser. I'm getting a new session because I'm not happy with what I just got. Five. All this work because I really don't like what I'm seeing. If anyone knows how to quickly fix that, please let me know. It's not the end of the world. Oh, my 555 is not listening, is it? Let's reload this. Or someone says, how can I check what IP VM has from Vulnhub? You can get that from your DHCP server or NetDiscover. One of those two should give you the IP. You know what? Forget it. Let's move on. We are already in here. It's John. Okay. ls minus la. cd John. ls. Oh, we have a compressed file and a user.txt. So we found flag number 1 for user, John. And thanks to InfoSec articles, this is fun. Now let's go and find the second one. ls minus la. I'm seeing that we have this compressed thing here. And right away, you need to be able to do this as well after a while. You see that we have this S, the SUID value, and it's owned by root, but we can execute it. So we don't even need to run our SUID check here. Right away, this stands out to us. It's a compressed binary that's owned by root, and it is this value set here. So let's run it. Looks like it did nothing, but did it not? It did something. Compare these results up here and these results down here. We now have an archive.tar. This is fun. We know where this is going. If we have a binary that is archiving things, what is it archiving? And is it using a wildcard? Meaning, is it archiving a whole directory? If it is using a wildcard to archive a directory, we now have the tar vulnerability that we can exploit. So First, we need to find out what's in the archive.tar. It's tar space minus, is it TCV? I'm trying to see the contents. I don't want to unarchive. What is the option to read? That's all I need, tar. I think it's T or something like that. I remember that option. Let me see here. I have it somewhere. Yeah, minus TVF. I was missing F for file. So it's clear. Let's minus LA, tar minus TVF, archive.tar. This will just read the contents. And as you can see, it looks like the the compressed binary is archiving everything in this directory. And if you're not familiar with what we're talking about here, if you are just archiving everything in a directory, you now expose yourself to what is known as a tar vulnerability, where a person can come and put a checkpoint in here. And tar commands accept checkpoints where you say, hey, stop running the compression, do some activity, or maybe stop compressing the file and maybe check the size of the directory if the compressed file is after a certain size. So the tar vulnerability is what we will go for right away. The other one too is when I did an ID, this LXD here is also another vulnerability that you can go for. LXD is vulnerable. This group here at least allows you to privilege escalate. But right now, let's go for tar. If tar doesn't work, then we'll know we have a backup. But just look up LXD privilege escalation. You see wonderful guides out there. It's actually way simpler. It's point and shoot. Tar is kind of interesting. So to exploit tar, let me remove because I think if I really run compress, it will complain that archive.tar already exists. So now it's gone. Let's first go and find how do we exploit the tar vulnerability or the tar wildcard. It's called a wildcard because you are archiving this whole thing here. And I can come in here and set up a checkpoint, tell the checkpoint to create an SUID, tell the checkpoint to add me, John, to the sudoers. There's all kinds of things you can do. And I'll show you a nice article that you can use for that. I think it was this one. Yeah, from Hacking article. This, I've used it at least 4 times on this on this channel. If you follow all my live streams, you probably have seen me do a tar privilege escalation at least once. That's why I like this. So let's go and try it. I encourage you to read it, of course, and understand what's happening here. There are many ways you can try. This is the easier one, the lazy man's way of doing things. Hey, add, I can do right now and say, hey, echo, add John, O equals the root, no password, sudoers to a script. This will just add John to sudoers, and it will do it. But I like to add a little spice to our attack. This one, the 4th one, is actually interesting. We can go and target the find command, and then when you run the chmod plus US, you're adding an SUID. And if you go to GTL4 bins and do the find command, you know that we have an SUID for the command, find command, and you become root this way. So this is less intrusive. That's why I'm choosing it, because we're just manipulating a command instead of a user. Sometimes if you modify a user, there will be an alert for that. But if you modify some binary like find, you don't get caught. So we're trying to hide here. That's why I go for the last option here. The easy lazy man's exploit for tar is this. Slightly careful, but still you get caught is this one. And I'll explain what we're doing here. Yes, Jupiter says looking at various walkthroughs help. Yeah, if you are also unsure, go and Google tar wildcard exploit, and then Vulnhub. You'll see other people's Vulnhub where people have used the tar vulnerability. If you don't find anything from Vulnhub, put hack the box in quotes when you Google this. Tar vulnerability, hack the box. Tar vulnerability, Vulnhub. Tar vulnerability, try hack me. One of those is going to give you a machine that has done a tar exploit as well. So this one is going to echo this. This will modify the find command. First, before we do this, let's find out, is the find in the user being find? Because sometimes it's not there. Let's go there and do that. Exploit says it should be. Then after that, this will create a test.sh and set an SUID on it. Then we'll echo the checkpoint in the working directory where we are archiving. Then we will let's run these three. We need to run these in the directory that the compress is archiving. So we know it's archiving John's home directory, so we'll run it in here. If it was archiving something else, we needed to do this in whatever it was running. So echo that test.sh, then we created a checkpoint that will run test.sh, then we set the checkpoint. If we do an ls minus la, this is what we did. We created a test.sh that will modify the find command. This will run our checkpoint, which is this one, and that checkpoint will run test.sh. What happens with checkpoints and tar is when you are archiving things, you stop, which is checkpoints, and say, well, as you archive things, stop and verify that I still have more space before I can proceed. That's what at least this was meant to do. In this case, we're saying stop and that. Let's run our compress. This should also run our checkpoint. If I do an ls, it ran because I now have this archive.tar. Let's check if our find now has an SUID. The find command has an SUID. Oh, no. Which find okay, our find doesn't have an SUID. I accidentally got myself out of my shell. Okay, it's hanging. Because what happened is I exited out of my machine. I should have, you know what you should have done? You should have set up John's SSH key so I can get back in as John with SSH. This is where you should do that. But now we have to rerun the exploit again. And doesn't seem to want to work. All right, I'm just going to test this one more time manually, make sure that it's still working. Otherwise, maybe my machine crashed in the back there, which happens with this. Equals to ID. Or maybe we crashed our machine, because I'm not seeing. Let's ping that. No, it's still responding. All right, netcat minus LV and P 4444. Let's regenerate our payload. Make sure that we have everything that we need. This is our IP address, and I'm just going to do this. New page, just in case I mess with my payload as well. There we go. And this is how we generated our payload, by the way. Python 3, shortest. Oh, there's a shorter version of that. I was using this, but there's a shorter version. Okay, I'll use what worked before. I wonder if my machine is just crashing and I need to reset it, because right now it's not responding, which is curious. Let's close these. We were right there. We were almost. All right, so this. Yeah. All right, looks like our machine is not responding here. Let's go back and reset it. And this actually happens every time you do some of these machines. I have a snapshot that calls that's called before attack. So I'm just going to power this machine off and restore it. Because sometimes you accidentally you do too much and you crash these machines. So you get to actually see me restore a machine from a snapshot here. This is before the attack happened, just in case we modified something and it didn't like it. Then we'll just redo it. We know where we are, and we can just get started. Okay, cancel that. Let's start it from the restored state. Then right now I'm just going to jump back into my reverse shell and be on my way. And the machine is starting. What's up, BT? It's good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining. So I think we crashed my KEYRING machine. I'm just restarting it. Then once it's back up, but we have already found some interesting things here from that system. Okay, let's do a ping. It's now responding. Cat 174. And then once it happens, once we verify that the command is working, then we can move on. Here we need to sign in as admin. So for those who joined up later, this is what we did. We found the admin password here, and the password was somewhere. Good thing I saved it right here. Okay, once we get in as admin, now we can test this right here, see if it's actually working or not. All right, so we're in business again. And then this is where knowing what you're doing is different from copying and pasting from tools, because if you don't know what you're doing and something just gets in the way, you'll be all frazzled because you don't know, like, oh, what could have gone wrong. In this case, I'll paste that. It's hanging. We should get our shell. All right, so we're back in business. Once we get our shell, we switch to John. Oh, it's doing it again. Switch user to John. And we found John's password, super secret password. Give it a second here. Oh, John needs to export term 2. All right. So we're back to a blank slate again. We don't have the SUID set, so we're just going to redo the exploit one more time. I'm just going to do it the dirtiest way. First, let's check the permissions for the find command before we change it. This way we know right away what it was. It looks like this. Let's run these. Up to here. Now that I've explained what it's doing, okay, so permissions of user been find, operation not found. User being find, which find. Okay, so we haven't run our tar yet. Compress. All right, ls minus la. Now we see our archive.tar. Now let's rerun ls minus la on user bin find. Make sure that it set the SUID. Yes, it did. It changed the value for this, as you can see. Earlier when you ran it, this was the permissions of the find. Notice that we set up an SUID bit right here. So now that we did that, the final part of this is to then just say, okay, we know it says you can do a find exec, and then you can run commands here. In this case, let's run the find exec here to make sure that we actually finish the exploit. We don't have F1, but we know we have user.text. Let's see if this will actually say root. Yes, so it's game over. Next time you see an SUID bit set on the find command, also go to GTF4 bins, and here it also tells you if you run the find command, you don't even need to specify a file. This should also give you root access. So I'll just copy this part here. I know this find command was an easier one. So let's just run the one from GTF4 bins as well. Find here exec bin. In this case, it's bin sh. Then quit. Who am I? Root. cd / root. Cat root.text. There should be one. So we got root here. Biggest takeaway, this was a very, very fun and exciting Sql injection in the beginning. I think that was where all the fun was. This SUID bit part here and the find tar command in the end, it's very easy. You can always either use GTF4 bins here or this one here. As you can see, I just literally did exactly what is here for exploiting the tar command, and I was in. But if you didn't know what you were doing and you just came and pasted this will not work, because F1 here is a file that they created all the way somewhere up at the top here. F1, like that. So do take some time trying to understand these exploits. It will be to your advantage, because once you know, this is what you might use as a lazy man's exploit. But I chose the find because it's less intrusive than editing the sudoers file. All right, so now that we're done, the second part of this is, of course, what did we see? What did we observe as we were doing this? Because that's the next order of business, right? We need to know, Security Onion, did you find any of these exploits? Santiago, what's up, man? Thanks for joining. You are joining us when we are doing the autopsy of what we did. So we committed a crime, now we're investigating ourselves. This is a snapshot of when I started. I had some Nmep alerts. Let's refresh this now and see what I have done. Because this should give us now more alerts. So as you can see, we did generate a ton of alerts. A lot of these are going to be Nmep. I avoided Sparta today. Right away, I like to go to Kibana, because Kibana shows us better data, this data in a better way. So let's refresh this in the last hour. What did we do? 895,000 events. Well, some of these are just like connection events, but you can see we consistently were at 100,000 events at some point here. In a production environment, this will be an indicator that something fishy is going on, because unless if your baseline is 100,000 events, this is just ridiculous. In this case, our baseline is 0 or 30 or 85 or something like that. This is what normal looks like in this lab environment. But right now, right away, if you were the manager for this SOC, you'll be like, whoa, what's going on? Hands on deck. We need to find out, because you need people to look at this stuff. Let's go to the alerts section. This will give us a summary of what we did. I'm just looking in the past hour here. The alerts will be from Suricata and Zik, because that's what we're using. We're just monitoring network traffic right now. And of course, when it says ET possible union select, I'm curious about this. Is this from Nmep? This time, since I did manual Sql injection in a browser, I'm very excited to be looking at that. Here's a concat. I did a concat manually, still showing. But it looks like I dropped there for a second. I'm not sure why that was the case. But anyway, here's the second part of the autopsy. This is a possible Sql union injection that happened. Let's check it out. This was, look at this. This is what I did. User is called admin, select concat your Sql injection in a browser. Since it was plain text, it was caught, of course. But at least we can tell. When you do manual Sql injection, you're not immune from being caught as well, especially if especially this command concat or union. All this Sql injection is like very noisy from what we're seeing here. So what is our takeaway here? The takeaway is, if you are doing manual, maybe we could have encoded this data and then decoded it on the point. So basics for it, maybe at the beginning, then decode it once it reaches the target. That way it moves across the network in base64 format. We could have done that. I'm curious if that would have been better. Or even a simple URL encoding, maybe it would have worked. But so far, this is from us manually doing this work. Next. This is probably the same Sql injection. Yeah. When we did that user admin command, it even sees our session here, which shows me that this is just easy to get caught. So that's one of them, the SQL stuff. Here's an HTTP post for pass in clear text. What did we do for that? Password was being passed across the network in clear text. Oh, this was a login. that we did earlier. Username test, pass was test. So because we set up a user in plain text, of course, here we are seeing ourselves passing passwords in plain text on the network. This is a bin bash. This is I think this is when we established our reverse shell. Yes, this is our Python reverse shell. This is the Python reverse shell that we generated, and we can see port 444 here. So again, our main purpose of looking at this is so that you can get familiar with how network traffic looks like when it's being analyzed by the analyst, so that when you're doing your pen test, don't just be setting Python simple HTTP reverse shells like this without some form of encryption in place. Even if you have some SSL certificates involved, companies have SSL decryptors, they'll be able to find you anyway. But this is what we have when I send my Python 3 on port 444. And I'm pretty sure this is the same for the other ones. That was on port 444. Yeah, this is the same traffic, Python 3. So if you're a security analyst, you can say, yeah, according to this line here, the attacker did indeed succeed in executing the Python HTTP reverse shell. Whether the reverse shell established or not, you can go and track down the port 444 by going here. I think it's the Discover tab, not Overview. You can do a desk.port or source.port here, or you can do a star.port. Of 444. Then we can see instances where port 444 was channeled. Maybe. All right. I'm probably looking at a different time or something. We should be able to see connection events from Zik and Suricata events as well. I'll find out why that command is not working. But let's also look at other events that we generated before we finish here. I just found those to be interesting. Some of these are false positive, I know them. What is this? Get.php with no referrer. That's a wildcard for me, and then oh, I know why this was not running. It's because I had a rule specified. Here's all instances where port 444 showed up in my network. Here, it was after 9 when we were doing the attack. And then you can request, what is that? I am actually curious. Kali, that's the source. Destination is my victim machine. What triggered that? GoBuster. So GoBuster triggered some random rule that so it is a zbot get.quad. So there you have it. You now know how to do the attack on the machine IA KEYRING, which is an intermediate machine. And you also know how to look at the attack traffic in Security Onion so that you can play around and understand, like, okay, what did we do and how does it look like to the good guys, especially if they're using a simple intrusion detection tool like Security Onion. So right now, just want to take a moment to see if I missed something. Otherwise, this was it from me. Let me know if you have any questions here. Otherwise, I think we are good. There's a 30-second delay. So I'll just look at some of this traffic here. Thanks, BT. Otherwise, oh, by the way, we can also look at this traffic in a different way, like traffic by category here. There's also a network Trojan that we can see, which is probably a Go Buster. You can see the traffic by severity. So far, it's right behind me. So far, high is taking over. In a normal environment, you probably see traffic by severity, high being very, very low. Then, of course, low and medium is showing up there. So this is what you see. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. If you like this, please subscribe, like this video so YouTube can tell others how to do it. Someone asked if I offer training. Right now I've been practicing and making sure that I get good at this before I show any training. And I'll be taking the OSCP in a couple weeks here. So maybe soon you'll be seeing a course from me since I've been learning. But the goal here is to make sure that we do this all the time. Practice makes perfect. People are intelligent, but if they're not disciplined to practice, the intelligence goes to nothing. We want to be the people that practice and do it consistently. That's why we've been doing it every week. And the more we do this, 5 years from now, we'll be flying through these machines in 30 minutes instead of the hour that it takes us. So that's the goal. And if you like that, join me every Sunday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Otherwise, thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.